Hello, I'm Victoria Pope, Head of Content for Kwame, and today I'm delighted to be joined by Richard Yen, Senior Vice President of Product and Strategy at Altair. He's going to be talking about Altair and their involvement with Kwame, our partnership, and a little bit about his role and the products they cover. So Richard, welcome.
Thank you very much, Victoria. Very nice to meet you. And thank you very much for this opportunity too.
No problem. Thank you for joining us. Richard, can you start by giving us a short overview of the latest products Altair is offering and with which sustainability and e-mobility can be driven?
Sure. Altair actually envisioning the transforming customers' decision-making process through simulation, high-performance computing, and artificial intelligence. So to develop the efficient e-propulsion system for either hybrid EV or battery EV is very complicated, and it involves the broad physics and require extremely high performance standards. I just give you some examples. For motors, it require electromagnetics in the high and low frequencies. But not only that, but also including the thermal management cooling for the CFD so that you can perform effectively. But this also because the high speed or high rotation of the speed, it creates stiffness and stress and noise and vibration issues. So to design such a complicated systems, we really need to see how we can use simulation combining with the data-driven design process to really accelerate the innovations. So through the years, Altair has already cultivated one of the strongest differentiator in our DNA is our optimization technologies or the mindset. They include in how to perform the multidiscipline and multi-physics optimization with HPC. And we saw that we can exercise a numerous design to use a machine learning and really create a design for the confidence. So I think in Altair's, we're also looking for the futures, and then we are seeing, the simulation is going to be on the cloud. Altair One platforms, which is our newest products and the platforms, can really enable dynamic and collaborative address Altair's tool set so that this turnkey solution enable the customers to run the simulation in the cloud anywhere and anytime. So we really try to see the convergence of the simulation and the high performance computing and artificial intelligence really coming together.
And how can that simulation and the digitalization of development processes help developers in the e-mobility sector meet the sustainability goals that are, so high on the agenda?
Yeah, I believe every e-mobility company actually face very steep market pressures from competitions, and everybody try to shorten the product development cycles and reduce the physical prototyping testings, reduce time to market. Meanwhile, they're also facing a really dramatic increase of the product complexities. So I do believe digital transformation throughout the organization involving the simulation, not only in the engineering phase, but also moving more upfront to the concept phase during the product life cycles is required and is essential. So digitalization enable companies to shrink the production time by 1/3 and reduce the cost, increase the profit, and at the same time manage the product complexity to meet the performance requirements. And to the sustainability, this will essentially conserve the material and the resources and support the design for efficiency and reduce the energy consumptions so that we can have an EV to gain more distance. So this contributes the sustainability quite a lot.
And e-mobility is banded around as the answer to being sustainable, but obviously it has its own challenges. as an industry. What are those greatest challenges, and how do we overcome those?
I would say the challenges is because the complexity of the design. If you think about it, um, the motors involve so many different physics that I just mentioned about, but how do you have a trade-off and balance them and to find an optimal design for the customers, right? So from my understanding, I see there are two aspects that we have to pay attention to. One is the software tools. The other side is the, changing the mindset to break in the silos for a product development process. So let me describe this a little bit too. For the software tools, you know, the motor design actually is become a really high speed rotations, compare from an ICE engine that is typically have a 5,000 to 6,000 RPM, but the motors will get up to 25,000 to 30,000 RPMs. And it creates the phenomena we haven't seen in the past, such as a gear whine noise, right? And at the same time, different type of the motors have a different type of challenges. And in order to integrate the drive modules and the control is also challenging, and managing the thermal effect and have so much thermal issues that we have to understand and try to limit the influence and get the best design. And in order to do this, I do believe that to create a platform is so important to facilitate many different collaborations with many different physics. So this is from the software aspect. From the organization aspect, I have been talking to many OEMs and suppliers who are producing the e-propulsion systems. I do believe still many of the companies, because the development process involves so many different physics that could be performed in different departments have a working in silos, which means the NVH department working in NVH directions and the CFD working in the CFDs. How can you get those to coupled, those physics to couple and talking to each others to find the best solutions? That we need to think about if there are any enterprise platform can enable this, or if any way of the design process that we need to break it, the silos, and really have everybody working together at the same time. So this is from my understanding and perspective.
So collaboration is definitely the buzzword.
Yeah, absolutely. Collaborations and get everybody working together.
Exactly. And are there ways and means to reduce the computing requirements of simulation, and therefore cutting down on energy consumption used by HPC for the simulation work?
Yeah, I think a lot of people worry about HPC, consuming the energies, and is that sustainable? But I would argue that, compare with the prototype, compare with the energies put into the design with many different iterations, the simulation is such important pieces that we just talk about how we can facilitate this to get people to really apply the simulation upfront and then get a confidence design at the same time. I think reduce unnecessary rework that we have to implement the simulation for design explorations as early as possible, as that we can identify the best design so that we can carry forward with the full detailed design without wasting the efforts. And at the same time, I think in Altius, looking in the futures, we do see applying the AI to identify the essential simulation to run, or applying the design of experimental DOE to find the most sensitive design variables is essentials, because this is going to save a lot of time for the customers. In the longer term, we envision also, in order to save time for the customers, how can we get a scalable HPC resources, running those on the cloud is essential as well. So we are seeing those actually will save the energy and will contribute to sustainability.
Thank you. That's really, a really interesting perspective on it. And, at Quimey, we're excited that Altair are our official electrification technology partner. And we're looking ahead to the show in Berlin in May. What are you looking forward to at Quimey Berlin this year, and everything we've discussed so far today? How are you planning to showcase all of that at the show?
Altair has been participating at Quimey, every single years, and we are very, very happy to see and to connect to so many participants in the show as well. Especially this year, we are preparing to showcase practical use cases. We are inviting our customers and partners coming together to have, showcase this, and then also address different kind of technology we have already developed to address the vision I just talked about. How we're going to combine and converge simulation and high performance computing and artificial intelligence. So on May 11th, jointly with the selected customers, we will present on the Quimey Central Stage. In the central stage, the title is the How Simulation, HPC, and AI Accelerate and Create a More Electrical and Sustainable World. And we will showcase real life examples of how simulation and all combined together with those to drive the digitalization in electrification. At the same time, we are going to host a panel discussion that we are inviting our customers, such as the EVR motor, Punch Powertrains, and Koenigsegg, coming together to discuss how we have found during our design process and how Altair have assist them to get along with this process and save time and energies. And I have to mention about this as well is that on the e-mobility stage, Altair and ZF actually is going to give the keynote speech, focus on very unique development platform that Altair developed, e-motor directors, that essentially is facilitate a platform for multidiscipline and multi-physics to help the customers, like what I just mentioned about breaking the silos and get everybody working together. So we are really happy to looking forward to meeting all the participants in the event. And I would like to invite everybody come to join us.
That's great. Yeah, we're looking forward to hearing everything you've got to say and everything you've got to show on site. The real life case studies are so important and so invaluable to this. So thank you. And we're all very excited and looking forward to May.
Thank you so much, Victoria, and thank you very much for these opportunities too.
No,
I'll
thank
see
you
you
for your
in
time.
the event.
Yes. Thank you very much, Richard.
Thank you. Thank you.